Not only they support Liverpool when they were alive, they support Liverpool when they're dead.
Why did you leave Liverpool? Why did you retire when you did?
Well, I'd been in the game a long time, and as a player and a manager. But as a player it was much easier, of course, but as a manager, of course, it was a hard task, and I started at the bottom as a player and a manager. I was at Carlisle to begin with, then again, and was at small clubs like Grimsby, Workington, and then Huddersfield, who was a bigger club. In fact, I think that being at Huddersfield was one of the greatest things that happened to me, because Andy Beattie was the manager prior to me, and he laid down the laws. And the manager at Huddersfield Town was virtually easy, because the directors were all for the manager. Which they should be, of course, providing the manager's good enough, of course. If he isn't, then they've got to sack him. But I came to Liverpool where the potential was tremendous. That was the only reason, because it's similar to Glasgow and the Scottish people. And I had seen Liverpool playing. In fact, Huddersfield Town had played them umpteen times, and one day we beat them 5-0 with 10 men. And it kind of saddened me, because I'd been to Anfield. I was at Preston, just along the road, before the war and after the war. But I got to a point when I had fought the battles. You see, in football you fight on the field to win, but you've got battles to fight inside, political battles. To come here and try and prove to the directors, or try and make them think along the same lines as me, of the potential it was for Liverpool. Because candidly, it was a kind of shambles of a place. When I came, the team wasn't a very good team. The ground had got run down. Mind you, the war helped a lot of that, but it wasn't good enough for Liverpool, for the people here, because I'd played here and the crowd were fantastic, and I knew there was a public. So I'd fought the battles inside and outside, and I was only interested in one thing: success for the club, and that meant success for the people. I was only in the game for the love of the game, to get results for the club, make the people happy. Because at the end of the day, as I said, you asked me a question, why did I leave Liverpool? I left Liverpool because I was manager of Liverpool. I was the manager when I left. And that was the satisfaction I got. Not that I was gloating about it, but I had won. So I left when I had conquered Everest. So I left because I was satisfied that I'd proved a point, that I was a manager of a big club, and that if I wanted to buy a player or give a player something, there was no arguments about it. All the arguments were won.
And you bought Ray Kennedy. It was the last player you bought for Liverpool.
Ray Kennedy, we'd been trying to buy him for a while. We played up the front for Arsenal, but the time had come in football, because of experience in Europe, that you bought players for what they were. See, before the war, you went and got a trial for a club. If you were a player, they didn't ask you where you played. I know you're a front man or a striker or a sweeper or whatever you are. Ray Kennedy was a player. And the time come on the number on his back didn't indicate where he was going to play. It only indicated who he was. So Ray Kennedy was one of these players who played up front for Arsenal, but was a natural stylish player. I could visualise him being a wing half of the old type, like Matt Busby was, left-footed and all. And Ian St John would have been possibly the best midfield player of all time. When he was withdrawn in '63, we won the league into midfield. So that Kennedy struck me as being a player that could be adaptable. Now, having done that with St John, withdrawn him a little bit, and brought in a boy called Aerosmith up the front. We won the league by doing that. And it's possible, and it's happened, that outside lefts have become very good left backs. There's players from time to time since the game began that have withdrawn to defensive positions and been better players. Very few have gone up front from the back and done anything. They've tried it. I think only John Charles he succeeded doing that kind of thing. But centre half could play centre forward. So that what we were looking for were players who were adaptable. And Ray Kennedy looked like one of these players. We were going to utilise him for anything that was worth it. And the fact that he was left-sided, it's a difficult job getting left-sided players. So Ray, I felt, had worked hard along with John Bradford at Highbury, and they had borne the brunt of Arsenal's team, and they won the double, the two of them. And I felt they'd done a lot of running. And I thought Ray was a little tired, and maybe he was when he came here. And of course I think he was a little overweight, which we seen as well. We thought he was a little overweight. But we've been trying to negotiate Ray's transfer for a number of months. And that was the last signing I had, yeah.
And obviously the success he's been obviously just justifies the purchase.
Well, it justifies the fact that it was well known to me that players had numbers on their backs, but I only was to identify the player, not where he was going to play. Ray Kennedy plays with 5 in his back now, and so he doesn't play up. He doesn't play centre half. Doesn't play up the front. He plays in no man's land. He plays in a world of his own.
If we take the Liverpool years from beginning to when you left Liverpool and to today's Liverpool, we're really talking about the evolution of a football club. When you joined Anfield, you joined because you could see the potential. But seeing it and realising the potential are two different things. So when you began at Anfield, what jobs did you have to do? What were your priorities?
My priorities were first and foremost to get to know the people I was working with, the players I had in my books, the ones who I thought were good enough and weren't good enough. So I had to make a note of the whole affair, and maybe after a couple of months, or 2 months, 3 months, maybe I'd know who I thought could play and who couldn't play. And then of course there were many money to buy, which we didn't have then. So it was assessing the whole place and assessing the people that worked in the place and assessing the directors as well. That a manager's got to do that. The manager's got to treat all the directors differently. You don't all have the same personalities. So that there might be one director you deal with differently you do with another. So they're all human beings as well. So you've got to treat them with respect. So you've got to handle them all differently. You don't speak to one director the same as you speak to another. So it was to get to know the whole thing and the whole place, and to try and instill into the directors, of course, that the potential at Liverpool was, just as great as it was anywhere in the world, which of course has been proven. So that I had to. That was the first thing. Then, after I had decided that the players that were going to be any good to me, then the ones, of course, that the one I'm going to keep, I had to sell them, let them go for nothing or sell them.
What were you looking for then? You looked